So these are some myths that we would suggest are myths uh, that we got as a species and as individuals and peoples to this point of capacity, technological capacity, economic capacity, social capacity, uh, or supposed competitive capacity via money, competition, greed, and want fulfillment, and that path that we've arrived to this moment on is supposedly how we're supposed to solve climate change, that we're supposed to solve for climate change via the same dynamics that created it. And we would suggest that that projected illusion of how things should be or can be in the future is a projection that we're focusing on. We're imagining it to be true. It's an expectational dynamic. And behind that presentation, or that presentation, if you could imagine it being like a movie camera focusing on a movie screen at the theater, what would happen if the movie screen was a brick wall and we were heading towards what we thought was a bright future and that we were envisioning and projecting, and there was just a big brick wall there called climate change? How do we deal with that? How do we resolve this discontinuity of understanding, of projected expectation of unconscious tribal and ego process onto a world that we're busy destroying, that is in the process of not fighting back in order to harm us? It's just reacting and responding to our effect on it. And that response on the part of the ecosystem, for us basically killing off a lot of it, or trying to, is to create a scenario in which we are no longer viable in the numbers that we have previously created or hope to create in the future in terms of future generations. So another myth, that we can get climate change resolution without foundational global change and transformation occurring, that we can get to it without that occurring, and that there is a way that we can keep doing what has been causing climate change while we solve climate change, and then supposedly actually solve climate change. And also that we have felt as a species that we won't be required to foundationally change, and we shouldn't be required to foundationally change in order to solve for climate issues. And that the climate change problems are not being, sorry for the typo there, created by human life process and technological adaptations and innovations. And of course, increases in the population is on top of our unwise and disharmonious choices in regard to the ecosystem. And lastly, that the weather and the environment are the problem, and that we and the ways we choose to live are not the problem, or not the issue that needs to be changed or transformed. If we see it backwards, if we see the weather or the flooding or the fires or the famine or the drought as the problem, then we're going to try to solve that problem rather than trying to solve the process of unconscious destructive tribe and ego and misapplication of ever more powerful adaptive technologies.